Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Unacademy, India's largest online learning portal for the preparation of competitive exams. My name is Neelam, and I'm going to be your facilitator for CAT and other management exams. Are you one of those who are baffled when you have to use affect or effect in a sentence? Or have you ever been corrected for mispronouncing words such as advice or advise? If that's the case, today's session is for you. Confusing words, which has been a part and parcel of vocabulary part of management exams. When CAT used to test vocabulary, this used to be part of CAT verbal ability as well. And when we talk about other exams such as SNAP, IIFT, SAT, TIS, they do test this part extensively. Every year there are one or two questions based on this part of vocabulary. So you need to have clarity about their meaning, usage, their spelling, as well as for their pronunciation. All right, so today's session is focused on confusing words. I hope this session will facilitate you. 1 minute. Facilitate you or felicitate you? Let's find out, right? So today's session is focused on confusing words. Before that, let me give you a brief introduction of myself. My name is Neelam Malkani. I have around 12 years of experience in test preparation industry and have been training students of CAT, GRE, GMAT, SAT, IIMs and TOEFL. My expertise have been English and verbal reasoning. I also had the opportunity to design and set assessment papers of English and reasoning for different competitive exams. I did this for governing bodies of different states as well as for special bodies which are administering tests. I also served as an examiner of English for an international organization. Recently, I have authored a comprehensive book of English for the preparation of competitive exams. The book is written in both Hindi and English and is available on Amazon. The video is brought to you by Unacademy on its channel Just CAT, a channel dedicated to the preparation of CAT and other management exams. Now let me take you to its portal and tell you step by step how you can be part of this and start your preparation for your targeted exam. You have to go in the Play Store of your mobile phone and install Unacademy Learning app. After filling in all the details, you will be shown 3 major offerings plus free courses and special classes. So the benefit of having this app in your mobile phone is that you will have free access to these courses and special classes. After having this app in your mobile phone, you can attend all the classes taken up by top educators of India under special classes and free courses. You just have to type code Neelam to unlock these courses. But if you want classes for CAT specifically, you will have to subscribe to Plus course. When you go further, you will be shown different features that you will be availing if you subscribe to the course Plus. Features such as 30 hours of live session every day. As per your availability and as per your convenient time, you can choose the time of your class. You can also choose your favorite educator. You can attend the classes of all the educators and whoever you likes the most, you can choose as your educator and you can be part of your classes. You can be part of as many batches as you want, the batches which are formed by different educators. Structured courses and well-designed course curriculum, which is delivered by 14 plus top educators of India. These educators have extensive experience of guiding, mentoring students in their respective domains. Most of these educators take these exams every year so that they have the real feel of exam and they can actually give first-hand experience of these exams to their learners. Every month you see a new course being launched on Unacademy portal. Course which is catering which caters to the specific needs of an exclusive exam, such as ZAT is round the corner. In the first week of January, ZAT has happened. Decision making or critical reasoning, very specific components of ZAT, will be catered to by these exclusive courses. So all these facilities you can avail by single subscription. When you go further, you will be shown different models of subscription which suit your need or your requirement of the preparation plan. So if you're planning this year CAT, or if you're planning those exams which are happening in January, you can go for 1 month subscription that is going to cost you 3,500 rupees. But if you're planning CAT 2021, you can go for yearly subscription that is going to be 17,500 rupees. Now whichever plan you would like to go with, if you want for the 10% discount, you have to type code Neelam. With that, you will be able to avail 10% discount, and your fee is going to come down to 3,150 for a month and 15,750 for 12 months. With this single subscription, you will be able to see all the classes of all the educators. You will be able to attend all the quizzes which happen periodically by these educators only, as well as you will also be able to take part in all the tests and exercises which are frequently conducted by these educators. Alright, so all these benefits with single subscription. So what are you waiting for? Go in the Play Store of your mobile phone, download Unacademy Learning app, attend some special classes. If you are contented with the quality and the level of these educators, you go for plus subscription. Alright, and the fee is best in the industry and very pocket friendly. Alright, so that's all about Unacademy. Let's start with today's session, that is confusing words. Alright, now this slide is self-explanatory. You have two words, dear and dear, both pronounced same way, or buy or buy. So the spelling is different, but the pronunciation is same. Meaning is different, and so spelling is also different, right? But because of the pronunciation, you may get confused which word you are actually using, right? And if you don't have the clarity about their spelling, you may end up writing wrong word, all right? So just because English has 26 alphabets, and from these 26 alphabets only, millions of words are formed. Here lies the confusion. These letters are used in millions of words. So some have same spelling, but the meaning is different. Some have same pronunciation, but the meaning is different. All right? So that way, in order to have a command on this language, you need to have this clarity about exact meaning of an exact word. Same way, you also need to know how the word is spelled. So let's start with today's session, that is confusing words. Now look at this slide. I have taken up some commonly confused words in these sentences, just to give you some practice or kind of head start, so that the tough words or the tough sentences or the tough questions that we are going to do next, you are ready for them, right? Look at this. I knew two words. She would come by new car, right? So the pronunciation is same, but the spelling is different, and so is the meaning, right? So I knew first she would come by new car. So the pronunciation is exactly same, right? But the meaning is different, so is the spelling. Now this is the word which is tested by ZAT and IIFT. I'll show you 2 years. ZAT also tested this question, this set of word, confusing pair, and IIFT also tested. She will lose even more weight and all her clothes will come loose. So loose because the spelling is different, but the pronunciation is same, right? So loose, L-O-O-S-E, loose means something which is not fitting, whereas L-O-S-E, loose is to lose. You lose something when something is not in your access. I lost my keys, I lost my mobile. So that second form of lost, second form of lose is lost, a third is lost, right? So lose is to not having something, right? So she will lose even more weight. That is, she is going to shed some more weight and all her clothes will come loose. So second loose will be fitting here, first loose will be L-O-S-E. So the pronunciation is same, but the meaning is different, and so is spelling. So be very mindful. My work will require quite a lot of concentration, quite or quiet. So quite a lot of concentration, that is first. So I like to work in a quiet place. So here, quiet places first. Q-U-I-E-T, quiet place. Who is coming to the cinema with us? Who is? So the contracted form of who is who apostrophe S. Whereas whose without apostrophe is kiska, right? So that's the possessive form of who. So who is coming to the party or who is coming to the cinema with us? So that is first. And whose car are we going to? The sound. So homophones are those words which are similar in sound. Their pronunciation is same, but the meaning is different. They are homophones. Then homographs. So graph is for writing. Homographs are written in the same way, but they are pronounced differently. And their meaning also depends on the pronunciation. Right? So the word pair which I used at the very beginning, advice and advise. So they are written differently, but the pronunciation is also different. With the pronunciation, you will infer what meaning is used, verb or noun, right? Paronyms, those words which are similar in origin, but the words are different, right? So they have similar origin, their root is same, but the word meaning is entirely different. Heteronyms, different meaning, right? So similar word, same spelling, but the pronunciation is different. So is the spelling. All right. As I said, there is a lot of confusion about understanding the confusing words as well. So let's try to understand each one of them. Homophones, as I said, the pronunciation is same. Phone comes for sound. So look at these pairs. Break. So break, two ways it is spelled, but the pronunciation is same in both the ways. B-R-E-A-K and B-R-A-K-E. Break. Right? So both ways you have same pronunciation, the meaning is different. So look at the sentence. I hope you are clear with the meaning of these two words. When teaching my daughter how to drive, I told her if she did not hit the brake, right? So that part of the tool in your car or in your vehicle which is there to stop the speed, right? So brake, when you apply brake, the vehicle stops. Hit the brake in time, she would break the car's side mirror, right? The usage is different. The pronunciation is same, but the usage is different. Second, break means to break something. Sell, C-E-L-L, S-C-L-L, both mean different, right? But the pronunciation is same and the spelling is also different. If you sell drugs, so that is the act of selling something, you will get arrested and end up in a prison cell. So I hope you understand the second meaning of cell here, cell, all right? An enclosed area, which is confined. Look at another pair of homophones, flour. So flour, one flour you know, right? So flour which is needed to make roti, chapati, and the flour which is used for baking, and flour, right? So the pronunciation is almost same, but the meaning is different, so is spelling. Four, right? So four is also a preposition, and four, F-O-U-R, is also a numerical figure. Here, H-E-A-R, H-E-R-E, right? So both pronunciation is same, but the meaning is different. So these are homophones. The sound is same. They produce same sound, but the meaning is different. So these are homophones. Second set of confusing words are paronyms. As I said, they have same origin or their same root, but the words which are derived from same root are entirely different. So child is the root here. Let's say child is the root here. Childlike and childish are paronyms. Both are based on the same word, that is child. but the meaning of these two words is entirely different. Childlike has a positive connotation, right? Is used in a positive way, is used in a complimentary way rather. So when somebody asks you something with childlike innocence or childlike curiosity or with childlike inquisitiveness, so that means you are talking about the positive attribute of children, right? So they ask something ceaselessly, unless they know something, unless they obtain the information. They ask something ceaselessly. And since they are innocent, since that's a positive attribute, that's a positive characteristic, you are calling childlike curiosity, childlike innocence. Same way, childish. So word is same. I mean, the root is same, but the word which is derived from this root has entirely different meaning. Childish will have negative connotation. The tone, the tenor of this word is negative. Childish activities. Stop childish behavior, right? So that means you are expected to behave like an adult, but you are doing something kiddishly, or you are doing something which is very juvenile, right? So that is why you're calling somebody childish. Both the words derived from child have different meaning. So that is paronym. Look at another pair of paronym. Artist and artist, right? So only the difference is of one E at the end of one word. The artist without E at the end would mean a person who is expert in fine arts, especially a person who performs any artistic activity. He can be a painter, he can be a musician, he can create some handicraft items, or he can be a sculptor. He is an artist, right? So he can perform any form of art. But artist, A-R-T-I-S-T-E, is someone who performs on stage, all right? So a person who is an actor, or a person who sings, dances, performs on stage is an artist, right? So the origin is same, but the meaning is different, all right? I hope you are clear with the distinction here. The corporeal and corporeal. Now, when we say the corporal punishment has been banned in CBSE schools, that means bodily punishment or physical punishment. The children are not supposed to be given physical punishment, right? As they were punished by teachers earlier, now they are not supposed to be punished physically. So that is corporeal, something which is related to physical existence. Whereas corporeal is something which is tangible, not physical but tangible. Now see the difference. It is very foolish to run after corporeal pleasures, so something which is materialistic. It may not be related to your body. It can be anything which is materialistic, corporeal, right? Whereas corporeal is related to your body. So many countries have abolished corporeal punishment, right? But capitalist economy thrive on corporeal needs or corporeal desires. That means materialistic desires, right? Industry is another word pair based on parallels. So industry is the root. Industrious is someone who is extremely diligent, who works very hard, all right? Whereas industrial is something which is related to industries. Industrial revolution in Britain, or industrial revolution in Europe. Industriousness. So some animals are known for their industriousness or industrious behavior because they are very hardworking, right? All right, so these are paronyms. So that was another variety. First was homonyms, same sound. Paronyms, so same origin. Homographs, as I said, they are written in a very similar way. Homograph is for writing, right? So very common pair of homograph is desert, D-E-S-E-R-T, and it's also written the same way when it is used as a verb. So desert, you know, a desert. So in Rajasthan we have desert, right? In world, when we talk about world geography, we have Gobi Desert, we have Sahara Desert in Africa, right? And we have desert in Rajasthan in India. D-E-S-E-R-T. Desert means hot, arid region where there is no rain. Alright? So that is desert. D-E-S-E-R-T, same word, when it is used as a verb, it will have different meaning. A lot of people have deserted their hopes of returning to their workplace this year. They have deserted their hopes. Deserted means they have given up their hopes. They have abandoned their hopes to come back to work because of this pandemic. Desert is to give up. The word is spelled same way, but the meaning is going to be different. That is homograph. So you will have to make out from the sentence whether the word is used as a noun or as a verb. Accordingly, you will have to infer the meaning. One more pair of homograph, written in the same way. Incense, I-N-C-E-N-S-E. So, incense stick, that agarbatti which we all have in our homes, right? So when we pay our obeisance or when we worship, we light those incense sticks, which are usually perfumed, right? Some substance is smeared on them, and when we light it up, it produces some kind of pleasant fragrance, right? So that is incense when it is used as a noun. But same way, when the word is used as a verb, incensed or adjective, that means somebody who is extremely furious or angry, incensed, right? So farmers seem to be extremely incensed on the provisions of farmers' bill, right? So extremely infuriated or furious, angry, all right? So incense has two meanings, as a noun and as an adjective. Subject, one more homograph. So subject, one subject you all know, English is a subject, right? Or English is a language. English is also taught as a subject. English is also taught as a language, right? So subject, one meaning of subject you all know. Subject, under some authority, that is also subject, right? So we all were the subject of Britishers. Before independence, we Indians were subject of British forces or Britishers, right? So those people who are ruled by an authoritative figure, that is subject. In Hindi, praja, right? So that is what is subject, right? So spelling is same, pronunciation is same, but word will have two meanings. So homograph. One more variety, and that's going to be the last variety, is heteronym. Now heteronym comes very handy in speaking. May not be in writing, may not be in reading, but mostly in speaking, all right? And in listening. It becomes very imperative for you to understand how the word is pronounced, how the word is being pronounced, so as you can actually infer or deduce the correct meaning of the sentence. Now, heteronyms are those words which are spelled identically but have different sounds and meanings. So spelling is same, right? Here heteronym, the spelling is same, but the sound is different, so is the meaning. Different sound will have different meaning. All right, that is what is the concept of heteronym. Look at the examples here. Now, two ways, C-O-N-D-U-C-T, this word is pronounced. Two ways. So when I say the sport has a strict code of conduct, right? So this word is pronounced two ways, conduct and conduct, right? So when I say I am going to conduct a group discussion with those participants who clear the aptitude test, I am going to conduct. So conduct here is used as a verb. The pronunciation is of verb. That means I am going to carry out an activity. The discussion is conducted by these schools in the second phase of their exam or the second phase of their selection procedure. Conduct. You have to take care of your conduct in GD, right? That means your behavior. So when it is pronounced as conduct, it will mean your behavior, code of conduct, right? So here the pronunciation is different. So accordingly, the meaning will also be different. Noun will have different pronunciation and verb will be pronounced differently. Look at another pair of heteronyms, content and content, right? Same word, same spelling, but the pronunciation is different. When I say I am a content or content creator, which pronunciation according to you is correct? Right. So when you create something, some substance, some material, so that is content. In my introduction, I told you I designed the assessment papers of English. That means I created content for these papers. I was a content designer. I was a content creator. All those people who are making videos on YouTube are content creators, right? So content is substance, content is material. Whereas when I pronounce this word as content, it means I am satisfied, right? So content means satisfied. If you are contented, then only go ahead and subscribe to the Plus course. So content and content. Spelling is same, but the pronunciation is different. Also, the meaning. Convict, convict. Another word pair of heteronym. Alright? So when I say there wasn't enough evidence to convict or to convict her offense. So there wasn't enough evidence to convict. So convict as a verb. So to prove someone guilty is to convict. Whereas when I say convict, that means the person is proven guilty. He is a convict in that murder case. He is a convict in fodder scam. He is a convict in Arushi murder case. Convict, somebody who has been proven guilty. Alright? So convict, convict. Spelling is same, meaning is different, and the pronunciation. Alright? So these are heteronyms. Now, pronunciation also becomes very important for you. One, because you have to demonstrate your speaking ability in your GD, in your interviews, and in your group exercises. Same time. You would be surprised to know that XAT tests your pronunciation as well. In last few years, it gave you questions in the aptitude exam, which were testing your understanding of phonetic spelling. So there was a word, sobriquet. There were 4 phonetic spellings of this word were given in 2018 or I guess in 2019 XAT. One more year, pulchritude. The word was given and you were given 4 phonetic spellings. How the word is pronounced, right? So your pronunciation is also tested in this phase only, right? Of course, for speaking, where you have to articulate well, you have to speak very effectively. That is certainly the phase where it is tested. But exam like that, do test your pronunciation in aptitude phase as well, right? So it always pays you high dividends if you are familiar with the phonetic spellings. All right. So heteronym. So we come to the understanding of different varieties of confusing words. Homophones, similar sound. Paronyms, same root. Homograph, same way of spelling. Heteronym, spelling is same, but pronunciation is different, meaning is different. All right. Okay, now look at some examples of heteronym. So the bandage was wound. So the spelling is same, but the pronunciation is different. Wound around the wound. Look at the 2 pronunciation of the same word. Wound is the second or the third form of wind. Wind is to twist, turn something. Winding. The road was winding. Serpentine. Around the wound, so wound is nothing but bruises, right? So something which you get after an accident or a mishap on your skin, that is wound. So wound is bruise. So here the bandage was wound around the wound. So you have to pronounce it correctly. We must polish the Polish furniture. We must polish, that is verb. We must polish, that means we should use some varnish or we should use some shiny substance to polish the Polish furniture. Now, Polish, look at this word. The P is proper noun. P is capitalized. Polish, the furniture which we have bought from Poland. So, Polish furniture must be polished. Polish, polished. The pronunciation is different, right? I did not object to the object, right? So spelling is same, but the meaning is going to be different. I did not object. That means I did not disapprove to the object. So object is anything, right? The garden was used to produce, verb, produce. Now, this sentence is correct. Produce, used consecutively. So the garden was used to produce, verb, use, right? So that is noun. The dump was so full that it had to reject, more refuse, kachra, garbage. All right? So same word will have different meanings. Now this is also tested by ZAT. All right? So be very clear with their usage. Now very clearly, I'll spend some time on talking about the ways and means to acquire more understanding of confusing words, right? And after that we are going to discuss previous year questions, the questions which appeared in ZAT, IIFT, and a few questions of CAT as well, right? So I have taken the questions from these 3 exams. Now, for having clarity of confusing words, you have to refer to a standard dictionary. So a standard dictionary is going to give you the part of speech, the usage, some examples where the word is used in a sentence, and that those examples will clarify you how the word is used in a sentence, right? Which preposition it is followed by and how that word is used in an appropriate way. Same way, a standard dictionary will also give you the phonetic spelling, right? And if you are referring to the dictionary of Oxford or Cambridge, adjacent to the meaning of the word, these dictionaries will also show you how this word is used in a different way. If you are checking or looking up the meaning of the word as a preposition or as a verb, they will also suggest you that this word is also used as a noun or adjective. So if you refer to the entire, usage of that word, you will not be left with any ambiguity, right? So always refer to a standard dictionary. Standard dictionary, I would suggest you go for Oxford or Cambridge. Oxford Advanced Learner Dictionary, the most authentic source to learn words and to build your vocabulary. This is the dictionary which I have been using for years. Keep a list of words you find confusing. So if you have a list of those words which you are often confused about and which you find all the time baffling whenever you have to use them in a sentence or whenever you have to use them in your speaking, keep a list of those words and keep making sentences. Don't shy away from using those words just because you may be confused about the meaning, or you may feel that you may end up using the word incorrectly, right? Try to make sentences, as many sentences as possible. With more usage, with more practice, you will have some crystal clarity about their meaning, right? So make a list. So advice with C and advise with S. You are finding it confusing? Refer to a standard dictionary. Keep this word pair in the list of confusing pair and keep using it. Unless you have nailed it, unless you have completely have gained the command over both usage, right? So keep a list of words that you find confusing and try to use them in your productive skills. So don't find an opportunity to evade the usage of those words, right? So time and again, what we do is, whichever we find difficult, or whichever part of language we find difficult, we find challenging, we try to circumvent our way to say same thing in a different way, or we try to find other way to say the same thing. just because we want to avoid using that word in our writing as well as in our speaking. Don't do that, right? Stick to that word pair that you find confusing. Try to enlighten yourself through the standard resources or somebody who can really guide you, and then start using that word in your productive skill, in your writing as well as speaking. 2-3 usage, 2-3 sentences in writing, and 2-3 times in your speaking. You're going to get more clarity, right? So don't shy away from using these words in your productive skills. Solve exercises based on confusing words, right? So there are numerous resources on internet readily available with readily available exercises which give you good hand-on practice, right? So solve exercises and the quizzes based on confusing words. Now these quizzes and exercises are also available on your mobile phone. So whenever you are traveling, whenever you have spare time, just go for these quizzes or exercise for 10 minutes and try to refresh your vocabulary, alright? So these are some ways to build your vocabulary, and these are some ways to build some clarity on confusing words, right? So you have to take this initiative, and this is something that you have to do deliberately, right? For exam point of view, it's of course very important, but don't let it be dictated only because you are preparing for an exam. Language acquisition is a lifelong learning, and you cannot be driven by this objective of the preparation of these exams only, right? You should have a long-term vision for language acquisition. So you should actually cultivate this habit of acquiring the clarity of these words' meaning, so that your writing is honed and your speaking is also refined gradually. All right? So that's what should be your objective. Of course, we are doing it for clearing these exams, but you should not stop doing it right after you are done with these exams. All right? So these are different ways to bring some clarity about confusing words as well as for building your vocabulary. It's actually part of your vocabulary building only. All right? Fine. Now I'm going to give you the questions, and every question I'll give you 15 seconds to read. Now you'd be surprised to know all these exams have given you questions on confusing words. Now this is one part which is favorite to the examiner of all these exams, right? So they appeared in CAT earlier till 2008. Confusing part was confusing words were part and parcel of CAT vocabulary building, vocabulary section, and MAT, ZAT, IIFT and SNAP. You name any other exam as well. You name TIS, you name MyCat, CMAT, or other exams. You will find if vocabulary is tested, confusing words will be there. All right. So that means this is one section which is going to help you in almost every exam. Let's start with our practice. I have taken up around 15 questions from different exams, and they will also expose you to the ways confusing words are tested, right? There are different ways. ZAT has a very specific way. It gives you words in sentence. CAT has a different way. It will give you 2 words in a sentence. You will have to choose that word, right? And MAT will also have different way, right? So you will be exposed to different ways confusing words are tested. All right? Let's start. I'll give you 15 seconds for each slide. Right? This was CAT question. Quickly. All right. So this is how CAT used to test vocabulary or confusing words, right? So A word is given, letter A, next word is given, letter B. You have to choose the word and the letter corresponding to that word, right? And with that only, you could actually work out your option. So it was fairly easy, as long as you have clarity about the meaning of at least 2 to 3 words. Look at first. The Cricket Council that was or that were elected last March. So here Cricket Council is a collective noun, right? So collective noun, unless there is a disagreement, unless there is dissonance, some kind of dissonance in the collective noun, It is used in a singular way, right? So the Cricket Council that was elected last March is at sixes and sevens over new rules. Is at, right? So Cricket Council that was is at. So AA should be your answer. So AA is there in second and fourth, right? Look at this now, third sentence. The critics censored or censured the new movie because of its social inaccessibility. Now critics, can they censored or can they censure? So if you're clear between or clear about the distinction of censored or censured, it's going to be a very easy sentence for you. Censor is to edit the objectionable part of a movie or any play, right? But that is done by an authorized body, especially by a censor board or the body which has been given an authority to censor or to edit. Here we are talking about critics. Merely critics may not have the authority to censor the movie, right? And that is why the word is censure. Censure is to criticize publicly, right? So when you censure something, it is disapproved by people publicly, right? So a great number of people are censuring the farmers' bill provision, right? So that is censuring, that is they are criticizing, censured, all right? Next, Amit's explanation for missing the meeting was credible. Something is credible, somebody is credulous, right? So credulous is someone who is gullible, who is very trusting, who trusts others very easily, right? जो दूसरों पे बहुत easily भरोसा कर लेता है. Explanation cannot be credulous. Explanation can be credible, right? So B for second and B for third as well, right? B for third, B for fourth. Last sentence. She coughed discreetly to announce her presence. Because discreet, the pronunciation is same, but the spelling is different. D-I-S-C-R-E-E-T, D-I-S-C-R-E-T-E, discreet, right? So when I say your exam has 3 discrete sections, LR, quantitative ability and verbal ability. 3 discrete sections, that means separate. This earth is divided into 2 discrete hemispheres, right? Separate. So that is D-I-S-R-E-T-E, discrete, separate. D-I-S-R-E-E-T, discrete means tactful. To use your wisdom, to use your tact in dealing with situations. That is discrete, right? So our president has some discretionary powers when the situation is not explicitly stated in the constitution about what he should be doing in that situation. He uses his wisdom, he uses his tact to deal with that situation. So he uses his discretionary powers. D-I-S-C-R-E-E-T, that is discrete. All right? Next question is, the further and the farther he pushed himself, the more disillusioned he grew. So look at the sentence here. So further and farther. So farther is for distance, further is for additional. Alright? So the further he pushed himself, the more disillusioned he grew. Next sentence. For the crowd, it was more of a historical or historic event. For their leader, it was just another day. Now, see the sentence. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. For the crowd, it was more of a historical or historic event. For their leader, it was just another day. Now, historic is something which is of great significance, whereas historical is something which is related to history. All right? Now, which word is suitable here? So for the crowd, it was more of a historic event, significant, remarkable. And for their leader, it was just another day. So the usage is that it was very important day for their crowd, whereas for leaders, it was just another day. All right? Whereas historical is something related to history. Now try to see the difference. When I say the day Kamala Harris will be sworn in as the first women vice president of India will be a historic day or a historical day. That's going to be a remarkable day. And that is why the correct word there is historic. All right? Whereas historical is something pertains to history. Taj Mahal is a historical building. It's a historical monument. But the inclusion of Taj Mahal among 7 wonders was a historic moment. Right? Third word, or third sentence. The old man has a healthy distrust or mistrust for all new technology. Now, mistrust and distrust, very close words. Mistrust means being skeptical, doubtful, right? Since I lost a lot of money in share market, I have grown mistrust for investing in security market. Mistrust, because I've grown suspicious. Distrust is losing faith at all. When you believe that something or someone is dishonest, is deceitful, and you cannot trust that person at all, that is distrust, right? So distrust, mistrust, both mean same thing, but one is very strong, whereas one is mild. And a bit a shade of difference is also there. Mistrust is being skeptical, distrust is absence of faith. Here we are talking about an old man, and the word is also there, healthy. That means the word is suggesting strong or strength. That means the old man has a healthy distrust for all new technology. He does not believe in technology at all. All right? This film is based on a real or true story. What is the difference between real and true? Now, real and true both mean authentic, right? Something which is true and real both mean something which is authentic, right? But same time, the distinction is true is something which does not physically exist, right? Whereas real is something which has physical existence. Milkha Singh was based on a true story or real story. It was based on a true story because story does not exist. Story does not exist. Story does not have a palpable form. It does not tangibly exist. So it was a true story. Well, Milkha Singh was a real life character because he existed. He had physical existence. All right. So he was a real life character. But story was true. All right. So here the movie is based on a true story. Story does not have a physical form. Last, one suspects that the compliment was backhanded. Compliment with li and compliment with le. The spelling is different, so is their meaning. Compliment, a pleasant remark, a positive remark when you appreciate someone. That is compliment. All right. So one suspects that the compliment was backhanded. So this is how you can come to your answer. So for these questions, if they appear in any of these exams, you don't need to have clarity of all these words. As long as you're clear about at least 2 sentences, you can work out with the options and you can come to your answer. One more question of cat only. I'll give you 10 seconds, go through it, and then we will discuss. Fine. All right. Regrettably and regretfully. Both mean same when you are talking about an, an incident or a thing that you regret could have been different. Both can be used in that situation, right? That when you regret that situation should have been different, could have been different, you can say regrettably or regretfully, right? But when you mean to say that you are upset or disappointed at something, you say regretfully. That is the distinction, right? I am disappointed that I have to decline your invitation. I am upset that I have to decline your invitation. You don't feel regret here that this should have been different, but you feel upset because you have to say no to someone. You have to refuse someone's invitation. All right? So here, regretfully, right? Now, I am drawn to the poetic, sensual or sensuous quality of her painting. Now, sensuous and sensual both appeal to your senses, right? But sensual is always related with physical pleasure, whereas sensuous is anything which attacks, appeals to your senses, right? So music, poetry has sensuous appeal, whereas sensual is something which is physical, right? He was beside himself with rage when I told him what I had done after what I had done, right? So that's the sentence. So he was beside. So besides and beside, I hope the distinction is clear. Beside is, he sit beside me in the class. That means next to, adjacent to me. Besides is apart from, right? So apart from cat or besides cat, which other exams have you planned to take this year, right? So besides cat, apart from, that's the difference. Stationery, one is related to those items which you buy for your school or college. That is stationery item. Your pen, paper, everything comes into stationery item. Stationary, N-A-R-Y, comes from an object which is not moving. Stationary bus. Geostationary site, right? So stationary is something which is not moving, immobile, stationary. As the water began to rise over and above the danger mark. Now, over and above are used interchangeably except this situation. So, over and above. The only distinction between these two prepositions is whenever you have a clear demarcation, whenever you have a clear point, uske upar is going to be above, right? So, there is a danger mark which has been decided. So, that mark has been decided. So if it is flowing above that, it's flowing above the danger mark. It's not flowing over the danger mark, it's flowing above the danger mark. Above the poverty line, below the poverty line. So the limit has been decided. So this is the line for poverty. So under which it's going to be below, over which it's going to be above. So above the poverty line, below the poverty line, right? So whenever this standard has been set, uske upar or niche will be above and below. Otherwise, above and over are used interchangeably, right? So the danger mark, the signs of an imminent flood were clear. Above the danger mark, the signs of an imminent flood were clear. All right? So this is how CAT used to test your vocabulary. Now, this is ZAT. As I told you, these confusing words are tested by ZAT as well, but ZAT will always give you sentences, a paragraph, a long paragraph, and these confusing words, so that you are in a way confounded between options, because they are framed in a way you are not able to decipher whether this word is used or other word is used. As long as you have this clear distinction about the words, you will get confused. So here, prophecy and prophesy, this is how these words are pronounced, right? So noun is prophecy, verb P-R-O-P-H-E-S-Y is prophesy. Both mean same thing. One is noun, one is verb. The usage is of course different, but the meaning is same. That means forecast future. To predict or to say what is going to happen in future, especially by those people who have some religious power, spiritual powers, or rather people who have some magical powers, who are believed to have some magical powers, who can foresee future, who can predict what is going to happen next. See, the prophecy. Now dash, I dash that he will pass this exam and get a good job, right? So I forecast that he is going to pass the exam and get a good job. I need a verb here, right? So the verb is P-R-O-P-H-E-S-Y. So with that, I'm left with two options only, B and D, because A and C are using noun. For sentence, I need a verb, all right? So A is eliminated, so is C. Then I will make a prophecy. There will be a new government in less than a year. I'm again making a hunch about future, right? So I will make, now I'm using this verb. That means I need a noun here. I have an article as well. That clearly signals I need a noun here. So for second blank, I need a noun, CY. So that means SY and CY is used in one option only, that is B. So first is prophesy and second is prophecy, right? So pronunciation is different, so is their spelling, but the meaning is same, right? Same as augur, A-U-G-U-R. One is a verb, one is a noun. One is a verb and one is a noun, right? So augur. Please try to see the distinction of these two words as well. That's going to be your homework. Next question. Now this is not exactly confusing word, right? Word question, but IIFT gave you those words which are very similar, starting with EM or starting with EN, so as you get confused about their meaning, right? So please see which word is correct here. All right. Now, during the winter, many deer become dash and die because of a food shortage. So we need a word which fits the context of dying out of hunger. So they become so weak and die because of a food shortage, right? That's how the sentence with end will be justified, because you need a similar idea before end. All right. Emancipated. So emancipation is freedom, liberty, emancipation, women emancipation. Enunciated is to speak clearly. You have to enunciate your vowels clearly if you want to make the correct sound. If you want to, pronounce words clearly, you will have to enunciate. So enunciate is to speak clearly. Emanate is to come out of something, emanating, right? So good fragrance is coming out of kitchen. So it's emanating from kitchen, coming out of kitchen, right? So emanating. Emaciated. So the pronunciation of this word is emaciated. That means extremely weak. Extremely weak, thin, laggard structure, which usually is the result of extreme poverty or extreme hunger, right? So that is emaciated. When you see somebody extremely malnourished or somebody who is not having enough food, so you see that person emaciated, right? So emaciated will be the correct word here. Not exactly confusing words, but IIFT created options just to confuse you. Now, one more question of that. I'll give you 15 seconds. All right. So, as I said, ZAD has this peculiar way of, confusing you. So it will give you 3 to 4 sentences in a paragraph, and the words which are similar sounding, same spelling, maybe used differently in verb form or in noun forms, right? So this is peculiar ZAD question. So in spite of being perceived as dash by all, the club members decided to dash Arun, right? Now club members decided to dash Arun despite that. Means कुछ ऑब्जेक्शन था उसके बाद भी क्लब मेंबर्स ने अरुण को सेकेंड ऑप्शन का हमें कुछ क्लैरिटी मिल रही है. लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड. Felicitate or facilitate. Now I have made this session to facilitate you for vocabulary building. I have designed this session today to facilitate you with your preparation for ZAD, SNAP and IIFT. Facilitate you, to give you some help. To facilitate is to help or assist someone in doing something. Alright, so that is facilitate. Whereas felicitate is to honor someone, to regard someone, to celebrate someone's success. Felicitate, right? So when our sportsmen or sportswomen come back to country after winning a tournament, after winning a sporting tournament, or after winning medal for the country, we felicitate them. We felicitate them, that means we celebrate their success, we celebrate their accomplishments. So that is felicitate. So here, club decided to felicitate Arun. We need felicitate for second blank, right? So felicitate is going to be in 3 options, B and C are eliminated. Alright? So this is how you have to work with the elimination technique. Felicitate is fine. So A, D and E. First, he is a felon. If he is a felon, felon means someone who is criminal. Now, possibly, a criminal is not going to be felicitated by club members, right? That doesn't make any sense. So A is also eliminated. Febrile and feckless. You are left with 2 options here, right? So if you know the meaning, you can easily come to your answer here. Feckless is the correct word here. Feckless is someone who is not very strong in terms of his character. He's not very effective. He does not show a lot of strength of character. That is what is feckless, right? So here, because of this understanding, you come to your answer, that is E. Freckles, I hope you know what freckles are. Those brown little spots on your face which are accentuated when you go in sun, right? Because of sun, they are clearly visible. Especially Europeans have this problem. Their skins are full of freckles, right? So freckles are those. So here, a skinny teenage with prominent freckles, right? And as the member of the year, so that the whole affair would be felicific to Arun's father, who was recuperating after a serious illness. So club did this, though he was a feckless man. Arun was feckless, right? Not very strong character-wise. But they decided to felicitate because they wanted to felicific. Affair would be felicific to Arun's father. Something which brings happiness. Alright? Let's look at the meaning. Felon is a person who has committed a crime. Felony is crime. Felon is a person, right? It's an American word term which is very frequently used for crime and criminals, right? Felon is a person. Felony is crime. Felicitate, as I told you, it's to congratulate someone or to celebrate someone's success. Freckles mean a small patch of light brown color on your skin. Febrile mean having or showing the symptom of a fever. That is febrile. That is why D was not the correct answer. Feckless means lacking initiative or strength of character. Facilitate mean make something easier or easy to do. Felicic means relating or promoting increased happiness, right? And federate comes from federation, that is, forming a single unit. So that is why answer is E. Alright? One more question of that. Now, Mark Twain was responsible for many striking, mostly cynical epitaph, epigraph, epigram. So you need to have clarity about the meaning of these three words. So epitaph is the statement which is written on someone's tombstone, on someone's gravestone, right? That is what is epitaph. किसी की कब्र पे, तो जो वो लिखा रहता है, that is epitaph. Epigraph is a statement which is written on a monument or on a statue or in the introduction of a book. That is epigraph. Writing a statement which is written on a statue, a famous monument, or at the beginning of a book. That is epigraph. Epigram is an intelligent saying, a witty, short, intelligent saying which conveys a lot of wisdom. So Mark Twain, the famous author, is famous, his celebrated author is famous for his epigrammatic style. Right? So epigram is a short, witty saying, usually which conveys some intelligence. Alright? Now, with the understanding of these words' meaning, let's approach this question. So Mark Twain was responsible for many striking, mostly cynical. So very striking, dash, such as always do right. So that's an epigram. So epigram, with that, you are left with only two options, that is C and E. Right? The epigram, that will gratify some of the people and astonish the rest. Now, sentence is beginning from this word. Can sometimes end up. So we are talking about epigram. So this word is going to take up epigrams only, right? With that, you come up with your answer, that is E. Because in C, second word is epitaph. We have not been told anything about epitaph. Now, let's take it forward. Epigram can sometimes end up as epigraph. So, an intelligent saying can be written on a monument, can be on a statue, can also be written at the beginning of a book, right? But hardly or rarely would somebody use them as an epitaph because it's a funny saying. It's something which amuses you, right? It's a short, witty saying. Witty is something which amuses you. So hardly somebody would use an amusing term or an amusing quote as the epitaph to be written on his gravestone, right? So that is why this sentence is saying, but rarely would somebody use them as an epitaph. Now, Winston Churchill, the former Prime Minister of Britain, he wrote his epitaph. I mean, he decided what should be written on his gravestone was, I mean, it can be an epigram, right? So I'm going to meet my maker, but whether my maker is ready to meet me or not, that's another matter, right? So that is a kind of amusing statement. So here, in Winston Churchill's case, an epigram was used as an epitaph. But this sentence says, rarely would somebody use them as an epitaph. Alright? I hope you are clear with the meanings of epigram, epitaph, and epigraph. Right? So epigram is always a short, intelligent, witty saying. Right? So epigram is also a figure of speech. Epigraph, again, a writing which is written on a monument, a statue. हम जब जाते हैं कुतुब मीनार में तो कुछ लिखा रहता है वहाँ पे, the statement, right? Though it's written in other language, we cannot read it, but it's an epigram. Sorry, epigraph, right? It's written on a statue, on a monument, right? An epitaph on a gravestone, right? Okay. Ten seconds, quickly. 15 seconds. All right. Now, this again looks like a very difficult question. 4 sentences to fill in and the words are very close, but this is nothing but Zach's style of playing with your perception, right? So it gives you questions which appear to be very, very complicated. But if you have understood, if you are clear with the meaning of one word, you can easily eliminate the option, and then if you are clear with the second word, you can come to your answer as well. Same happened here as well. All right. So with the same strategy, we are going to approach this question as well. So prostate and prostrate, right? So if you are very clear, you can come to your answer here. A candidate in the medical viva exam faced a tinge of intellectual when asked to spell gland. So you need, first may not be clear, it could be ambivalent, it can be ambiguity. Let's try to fix what is going to come in the second. Gland is prostate. Prostrate is to lie down on the floor and to bow your head down because you are worshipping, right? So that is prostrating. Prostrate. तो गुरुद्वारे आप जाते हैं, you prostrate. नमाज पढ़ते हैं, prostrate, right? So to lie down on the floor, be on your knees, and you are folding down or you are bowing down, right? So that is what is prostrate. यहाँ पे हमें gland चाहिए, word which relates to a gland, that is prostate. So with prostate, surprisingly, you are left with only one option. See how easy it is. Prostate is used in only one option, that is D. And then you come to your answer here. Ambivalence or ambiguity. Ambiguity is confusion. Ambivalence is confusion between two options. So ambivalence is correct here because you are confused between prostate or prostrate, right? Immoral and amoral, another very interesting, confusing word here. So immoral and amoral. Please look at the definitions. Okay, fine. I'll give you the definition. Immoral and amoral here. The fact that he carried notes on his person would definitely be termed as immoral by faculty, but may be termed as amoral by more generous sections of students. Now, immoral is something which is clearly wrong by some standard, right? So something which is unethical by the set standards. So if there are a code of conduct set in a country, in an organization, and if you flout that code of conduct, you're going to be immoral because you wavered from what is written as right and what is written as wrong, right? So that is immoral. Amoral is when you don't have the sense of right and wrong, basic sense of right and wrong. That is amoral, right? So something could be immoral in your community, can same thing be moral in other community. Something which is considered taboo in your country can be completely acceptable and permissible in another country. That is immoral, right? So here immoral because there is a code of conduct which has been decided by those people. So immoral. So here faculty have decided that carrying notes is not right, right? So here it is immoral. They have decided, it's a code of conduct decided by the university that the students should not carry any notes when they take the exam. All right, it's a viva. All right, so that is immoral. But amoral, you forget what is right and what is wrong. Very strongly negative word, amoral, right? So those people who committed this heinous crime in Nirbhaya case, they were amoral. They forgot the sense of right and wrong. They were not immoral. In a way, it's forbidden by the law, that's fine. At the same time, it was against humanity. All right? So that was amoral, against humanity. You forget what is right and what is wrong, right? So though it's very confusing, but I hope I brought some clarity in the meaning of these two words, amoral and immoral, right? Some country has decided this is right, this is wrong. So that is immoral. If you are doing something which is forbidden in your country, you are doing something immoral, right? A code of conduct which your family has decided or your community has decided. If you're not following that, that is also immoral. At the same time, you are forgetting what is right and wrong. As a person, as a human, you do not understand what is right and wrong. That is completely immoral. All right? Fine. I'll take this last question. I guess that's going to be the last question. Okay. Fine. Very quickly. 10 seconds. Do this question. Fine. Now it is not quite democratic, right? It's quite QUITE, right? So there are two options which are using this definition, this spelling, 1 and 2, A and B. The parliament should be quiet. Now you need quiet, right? All right. So quiet, QUIET, quiet. On issue and resort to passing ordinance. The ordinance and ordinance. The difference is with I, the word which has I, that word is used for law, which is passed by the government, the ruling government, right? Instead of law being passed by entire parliament, where the discussion happens, deliberation happens, the positive and the negative of that bill are discussed vehemently, and then only bill is voted for, and ultimately it goes for president's signature, and then it translates into a law, right? So this is the whole procedure, parliamentary procedure, which is supposed to be followed for framing any law. But when parliament is not in a session, and when there is no likelihood that a parliament will come into session, and the situation arises which requires immediate law framing, government, the ruling government, passes an ordinance. The president has the power to pass the ordinance, but on the behest of government only, right? So that is ordinance, a law passed by the government, not by parliament. ORDINANCE, that is what is the spelling. Whereas ordinance comes for arms and ammunition, right? So arms and ammunition are related to ordnance, ordnance factory, ordnance law, right? So ordnance law in America are quite debatable. Some people believe that the right to possess weapons should be there, or some people say it should be withheld, all right? So ordnance without I is for arms and ammunition. So with that, I hope you can come to the answer of this question. As I said, this set of word pair has been taken up by both IIFT and SNAP. I have taken up both the questions. Look at this. Lose and lose. LOSE, LOOSE. When kite flying, you can always tell when you lose a kite. You lose a kite means it is beyond your reach, right? So when you are losing something, you don't have the access to that thing. So when you lose a kite, because the strings feel loose, so the strings are not tight, they are not in your control. So here lose, LOSE, is for losing something, LOOSE is for something which is not tight. With that, you can come to your answer quickly. Answer is first, right? So first option or first sentence is using both the words correctly. Second, when kite flying, you can always tell when you lose. So here, the second word, the wrong word of lose, LOOSE, which means something which is not tight, when the string feel loose. So it is interchanging the word and hence the incorrect usage. When kite flying, you can always tell when you lose a kite, right? So you can see all the options are using the words incorrect way, whereas only first option. Same word pair was picked up by IIFT last year, right? So when fishing, so that was for kite flying, this was for fishing. When fishing, you can always tell when you lose a fish because the line feels loose, right? So examiners are also picking up the previous year papers of different questions, right? So that is why we always insist upon solving previous year papers. So this examiner who set the paper of IIFT 2019 clearly looked at the questions of ZAT and other exams, and that is why this question was framed, right? So as I said, since I have also been into content development and I have also designed papers, we are always given the prototype of previous year papers, right? So the sample, the model papers are given, and the examiner is supposed to replicate those patterns only, right? This is same the procedure which is followed by these examiners only. So previous papers should be your benchmark, right? You should not take them for granted. All right. So when fishing, you can always tell when you lose a fish because the line feels loose. So here also A option is correct. When fishing, you can always tell when you lose. When fishing, you can always tell when you lose. Wrong. When fishing, you can always tell when you lose. This is correct because the because the line feels loose. So here this sentence, the second sentence is also incorrect. That is why answer is A. The examiner even did not change the correct option. All right. Needless to say, previous papers are very, very important. All right. So when no one made any dash to the financial scandal while he was in the room, there was a feeling of awe of the dash created by the broker that he had snared many unsuspecting investors under the dash that everyone would end up rich, and the fact that he had been celebrating his dash the legal authorities by attending parties. Right? So, illusion, delusion, and allusion. So all these words, if you're clear with the meaning of some of these words, you can easily come to your answer. Allusion, I taught you this word when I took the session of figures of speech. So when I took figures of speech, in that I discussed allusion, right? So allusion is indirect reference to something. Instead of taking someone's name directly, you make a passing comment or you make a passing statement which refers to that person. Right? So when I say Annadata is country ke, bhooke mar rahe hain. So Annadata, by saying Annadata, I am referring to the farmers because they are Annadata, because they are the ones who are producing those things for us, which we eat, which we consume, right? So Annadata is desh ke bhukho mar rahe hain. So here I am referring to farmers. I'm not talking about farmers directly. I'm not saying their names. I'm making allusions to them, right? So this way of talking, this way of referring to someone is allusion, right? The scion of biggest political family of India needs to learn the alphabet of politics. The scion of the biggest political party of India needs to learn the alphabet of politics. Here I am not taking anyone's name, but I hope you understood who I am talking about, right? So this is allusion. So here the sentence is, while no one made any allusion to the financial scandal, किसी ने directly or indirectly उसको refer नहीं किया, while he was in the room, जब वो room में था, there was a feeling, right? So allusion is coming in two options, C and E. Now, there was a feeling of awe to the illusion created. Awe, you are in awe, right? To the illusion created by the broker. So, illusion is bhram, that mirage, figment of your imagination. So, this broker had created that illusion, right? So, delusion and illusion, very thin line difference, right? So, illusion is something which is created to deceive you, to make you believe something. That is illusion. Delusion, जब आपको खुद कोई गलतफहमी होगी. I was under the delusion that he was my best friend. Alright? So this is what you start believing. That is delusion. So there was a feeling of awe to the illusion created by the broker. So allusion is first, illusion is second. You come to your answer, that is E. Right? Third, investor under the delusion that everyone would end up rich. So this was the delusion which he created. The effect that people started believing that they would end up becoming rich. And the fact had been celebrating his elude, right? Success is eluding me. That means I have not been able to grasp success so far, right? Eluding. Or vaccine is still eluding the word. That means we have not been able to access vaccine. Eluding. It has become an elusive thing for entire world, right? Elusive, something which is still not accessible, or something which is beyond our reach. Illusion, eluding. So he eluded the legal authorities. That means he could not be reached by legal authorities, and he was celebrating that illusion. He was bach gaya. All right. So this is what is the content of this entire paragraph. All right. So that style. Fine. One more. The head chef. Right. So CHIEF, chief. CHEF, chef, was annoyed to see a housefly. Now you have to decide whether housefly is hyphenated, is used as one single word, or it is separately written, right? So that means you have to be very careful about these simple words also, right? So illusion, delusion, I know these words are tough and you need some understanding of vocabulary to be clear about their meaning, but here these are very simple words. So you need to be clear about their form, how they are written. Housefly, hyphenated, housefly is one word, or housefly is a different word. This appeared in that. So the head chef. So without any doubt, it has to be chef. So A and C are eliminated. Was annoyed to see a housefly. Housefly is written as one single word. It's not hyphenated. One single word. It's a compound noun, right? Hence answer is B. Right? So that is why, yeah, so simple words, understanding of simple words will also be very, very useful. Affect and effect, the pair I started today's session with, right? I hope it leaves you with some clarity and it facilitated you. This today's session facilitated you. Okay, the suspension of the captain may affect the numbers of spectators. May affect, you need a verb. Effect is noun, affect is verb. So effect will always have another verb. Have an effect, because it's a noun, it will have another verb. Have an effect. It will have an effect on your head, right? So pandemic had an effect on world economy, right? Had an effect. So मैं यहाँ पे verb ले रही हूँ have, right? But pandemic affected world economy. I'm not having any verb here because affect itself is a verb. Alright, so distinction is of verb and noun. Transportation cost will directly affect the cost of retail goods. Right? So impact retail cost of retail goods. So if you want impact, you should have verb, affect. So affect and affect, you need affect in both the that is there in one option, that is third only. No, yeah, it's third only. So you came to your answer here. You get one more sentence in order to have more clarity. Grandmother's advancing age could affect her ability, could impact her ability to take care of the house. Verb, right? She affected a Texan accent throughout the interview. When you pretend to have something, especially when you try to put on something for pretentious reason, you affect. She affected a fake American accent throughout the interview. So that is, she put on that fake accent, fake American accent. Alright, so that is also affected. Answer is affect 3. Alright, so effect is noun, affect is verb. Advise, C is noun, advise with verb, with S is verb. Alright, so they are frequently tested, be very clear with their meaning. Alright, so here I come to the end of today's session. I hope it helped you some way in clearing your understanding about confusing words, one, And the varieties of questions you are going to be tested in these 3 exams. I did not take many questions of SNAP, but SNAP also tests your confusing word understanding. So you be clear with the way SNAP is going to test, though it's not going to be as complicated as it is there in CAT, XAT and IIFT, right? So the questions in CAT, in SNAP are going to be very simple and they are going to be fairly doable for you. You don't have to be really worried about SNAP. But your objective should be vocabulary acquisition. That means understanding words in their spelling, their correct usage, their noun, their part of a speech, as well as a bit about their pronunciation, right? So this is what your objective should be. Then whichever exam you are targeting, it's going to be a no-brainer for you, right? Tomorrow at 9 a.m. in the morning, I'm going to take a session on confusing word in special classes on Unacademy portal, right? In that, I'm going to discuss different word pairs which are often confusing, and after that we will also do an exercise, right? So 9 a.m. tomorrow, that is going to be on Unacademy platform. All right, so for that you have to install the Unacademy app in your mobile phone and unlock the course by typing the code Neelam. You don't have to pay anything. Just after having this app in your mobile phone, you will be in a position to access the special class, right? So if you want to attend the class, 9 o'clock tomorrow, be there. All right. Thank you very much for attending the class, for watching the video. Do let me know what other topics you want me to cover in coming session for your preparation exam for SNAP, especially because exam is happening on 20th of this month and you don't have many days. So specific any topic that you want me to cover, I'll be more than happy to include that in my schedule. Figures of speech is another part which you need to cover. So I took that session as well today at 9 o'clock on special classes on Unacademy platform. So if you download that, you can watch the recorded video for that session. All right. In